What's up everyone, how are you all? Today we are back with another blazing Naruto story. What if Naruto trained by God for Chunin exams? Naruto was sitting on a swing looking depressed over failing the graduation exam. Naruto is a 12-year-old boy with spiky blonde hair, slightly tanned skin, and 3 whisker birthmarks on each cheek. He was wearing an orange jumpsuit with blue patches on the shoulders. He had green goggles on his forehead. As he was feeling upset, a man came up to him. It was his sensei Mizuki. Mizuki had pale blue hair that reached down to his neck. He had a Leaf Village headband in the form of a bandana. The symbol on it was a leaf with a spiral inside of the leaf. He was wearing blue pants, a blue shirt, and a green flak jacket with a red spiral on the back of the jacket. "Hi Mizuki-sensei." Naruto greeted, still depressed. "Hey Naruto. I'm sorry that you didn't pass. I wanted you to pass. So I found something that can get you to pass." Mizuki told the blonde gleefully. "What, really?" Naruto asked, instantly perking up. "Yes. You see, when the academy has only one student who doesn't pass the graduation exam, we have a special test for them to take." Mizuki told the boy. "That's so awesome." The blonde boy shouted in glee. "What do I need to do?" he asked. "You need to break into the Hokage Tower and steal a scroll. Don't worry, it's all part of the test. You need to bring the scroll to a clearing at midnight and master one jutsu from the scroll before an instructor comes. Meet me in the woods in front of the Hokage Tower for more info and to begin." "Okay, I'll do it, Datbayo." Naruto responded gleefully. When Naruto turned around and ran, Mizuki left smiling viciously to himself for tricking him. What neither realized was they were being heard by a female with blue hair in a short Heim hairstyle. She had lavender eyes, wore blue pants and a baggy cream-colored jacket. Her name is Hyuga Hinata, and she has a, noticeable to everyone else but not noticed by the person you like as they are extremely dense, crush on Naruto. She overheard everything and went to inform Iruka and the Hokage. When they were informed, the Hokage said that they should not interfere with the test, and that they should let it play out and see how Naruto does. The Hokage does say that they should tail Naruto. Iruka and Hinata agree to this. Time skip. Naruto is in the clearing after stealing the scroll and is in the process of learning the Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, Shadow Clone Jutsu. The difference between Bunshin and Kage Bunshin are that the normal Bunshin is an illusion while the Kage Bunshin are solid. They have their own chakra networks, and when they dispel, the user gains the memories of the clone. Naruto had successfully used the jutsu when Mizuki came to claim the scroll. "Naruto, you passed. You can give me the scroll now," Mizuki said. Naruto was about to comply when a man with pineapple-style brown hair and a scar across his nose burst through the forest in front of them. It was Iruka. "Naruto, Mizuki manipulated you to take the scroll. Run away. Go to the Hokage. He knows about everything. Go now." Iruka shouted, and just as Naruto was about to run, Mizuki's voice cut through the forest. "Naruto, do you want to know why the village hates you?" Mizuki asked, the menacing smirk never leaving his face. Naruto turned to him, waiting for an answer, and Hinata from her hiding place also wanted to hear this information. "Mizuki, don't, it's forbidden," Iruka shouted to his traitorous friend. "Shut up, Iruka," Mizuki shouted as he threw a giant shuriken at him, which embedded into Iruka's leg. "Now then, where was I? Oh yes, 12 years ago the Yondaime didn't kill the Kyuubi. He sealed it into a newborn baby. That baby was you, don't you see? You're the Kyuubi reborn," Mizuki shouted as Naruto froze in terror as his life suddenly made sense. Hinata looked on, thinking that most of the villagers are idiots if they think Naruto is the Kyuubi. If a kunai is sealed in a scroll, does the scroll become the kunai? No, it's basic academy stuff. Mizuki pulled out 3 kunai. "And now I get to kill the demon," Mizuki shouted in pure glee. He threw the kunai at Naruto, who was still frozen. The sound of metal hitting flesh was heard and blood was spilt on the forest floor. The vision everyone saw was of Hinata standing in front of Naruto with 3 kunai on the right side of her back, barely missing her spine. She looked at Naruto in the eyes. "Hinata? Why? Why would you protect me? I'm just a demon," Naruto asked. "Naruto-kun, you are not a demon, and don't ever think that," Hinata told him with a pained expression on her face. "And the reason I did this was because I love you," Hinata confessed as she fell unconscious. Naruto stood there shocked at the girl's confession. Iruka also sat shocked at what happened. Mizuki just got ticked off. Looks like the demon's whore got in the way. Oh well, I'll just kill you too and take the scroll and the girl so I can have some fun with her. Hehehehe. Mizuki laughed evilly. Naruto's expression changed from shock to menacingly evil. Red chakra pulsed around Naruto, forming a red chakra shroud. Naruto formed a cross-hand seal with his index and middle finger on each hand. If you touch Iruka-sensei and Hinata-chan, the chakra burst outward and 200 shadow clones burst into creation from puffs of smoke, much to Iruka's shock. I'll kill you, Naruto snarled, with his eyes going from cerulean blue to red with a black slit for a pupil and his whisker marks darkening. Mizuki just threw his remaining shuriken at the clones and destroyed 10 of them. However, the rest of them burst into smoke as Naruto gripped his head in pain, screaming. Naruto's eyes flashed continuously from blue to red. Finally they stopped on blue and pulsed silver with the pupil shrinking. Hinata awoke from Naruto's screaming and everyone looked at Naruto's eyes. The eyes had silver background with a small black pupil and 4 black rings in each eye, giving them a ripple-like pattern. The Hokage, who was watching all this from his crystal ball, became shocked at seeing the eyes as he recognized them from a legend. Naruto glared at Mizuki with the new eyes as he rushed at Mizuki with 6 Bunshin that he created. The clones distracted Mizuki as he was blindsided by the original, who placed his hand on the top of Mizuki's head. He learned all Mizuki's memories and afterwards ripped Mizuki's soul from his body before passing out. Iruka and Hinata took Naruto and the scroll to the hospital, where they met up with the Hokage and Hyuga Hiashi, who is the head of the Hyuga clan and Hinata's father. He was there because of Hinata's involvement in this event and to talk to her about something. They brought Naruto to a hospital room and sat down to talk of what happened. Naruto woke up an hour later and noticed the Hokage, Iruka, Hinata, and Hiashi. Huh? What happened? Naruto-kun, we need to talk. The Hokage said in a serious voice. Naruto-kun, we need to talk. Sarutobi Hiruzen, the Sandaime Hokage, stated with full seriousness. He was wearing a white and red haori and had a red and white pointed hat with the kanji for fire on the front. Next to him was a man with long brown hair, white eyes, and white robes. He was Hyuga Hiashi, head of the Hyuga clan and Hinata's father. About what, Gigi? Naruto asked as Hinata sat near the blonde. Hold on, Hokage-sama, may I please give Naruto something first? Iruka asked and the Hokage nodded. Naruto, close your eyes, Iruka told the boy. The boy closed his eyes. After a few seconds Iruka said to open them again. When Naruto opened his eyes he noticed Iruka no longer had his headband on. Naruto also noticed the smiles on the faces of the Hokage and Hinata. Congratulations Naruto. I gave you my headband to show that you are now a genin of Konoha. Naruto was nearly in tears of joy. Thank you Iruka-sensei. Naruto, the Hokage cut in. There are still things that need to be discussed. Naruto nodded for the Hokage to continue. Okay, you and Hinata both discovered something that I was hoping to reveal only to Naruto. Naruto, you are the jailer to the Kyuubi, not the Kyuubi itself. Naruto nodded and so did Hinata. Now then, I guess since there's no way around it, I will explain why Naruto was chosen. Naruto was born the day of the attack and only a child can contain the Kyuubi, but not just any child. Only an Uzumaki can contain the demon. The Uzumaki were a clan of seal masters and swordsmen with huge chakra reserves. They had their own hidden village known Uzu-shiogakure no Sato, the Hidden Eddy village, in Uzu no Kuni, Whirlpool Country. Everyone stared in shock at the Hokage for different reasons. Naruto for finding out he has a clan, Hinata for learning Naruto is from a clan, Iruka for forgetting of Uzu-shiogakure and forgetting to teach it because of the civilian council's orders, and Hiashi for remembering a particular Uzumaki he and his wife Hitomi were friends with. Naruto, your mother was from this village and she came here to become Kyuubi's jailer after Uzushio was destroyed. Naruto became saddened at the news of his clan basically being gone, but perked up at hearing about his mother. Your mother's name was Uzumaki Kushina, the Akai Chishio no Habanero, Red Hot Habanero, and aka no Shi, the Red Death. And she died the day you were born during Kyuubi's attack. Hiashi nearly went into shock over hearing the name of his wife's friend, and then he remembered the person Kushina was close to. If he wasn't supposed to be dignified and composed, he would have face palmed over realizing who Naruto's father was. She fell in love with your father Namikaze Minato, the Konoha no Kiroi Senko, Konoha's Yellow Flash, and Yondaime Hokage. The Hokage said. Time seemed to freeze. Naruto, Hinata, and Iruka froze to hear who Naruto's father was. Tears streamed down Naruto's face. Why? Why did my own father seal the Kyuubi in me? Naruto asked, wondering why his own father would seal a demon in him. Why would your father seal Kyuubi into you? Simple. Even though he could ask another family to use their child, how could he ask someone else to do that to their child if he himself was not willing to do that to his own? And on top of that, you need Uzumaki blood to have the Kyuubi sealed into you. Naruto's tears dried and he nodded in understanding but still had some questions. Why tell me now? Naruto asked in genuine curiosity. The Hokage sighed. Honestly, I wasn't supposed to tell you until you reached Chunin level because you would be able to handle your father's enemies then, but some factors have recently come into play to divulge this early. The Hokage said. SS such as? This was asked by Hinata surprisingly. Naruto, it seems you've unlocked a bloodline that neither of your parents had. The Hokage said, and everyone stared at him in shock thinking he went crazy. I have a bloodline? Naruto asked in shock. Yes, Naruto, you seem to have unlocked the Rinnegan, the eyes of the Rikudo Sennin. Hiashi and Iruka froze to hear that. They are familiar with the story of the father of ninjutsu. What's the Rinnegan? Naruto asked as Hinata also looked confused. Well, the Rinnegan is the dojutsu, Ijutsu, of the original ninja. The Rikudo Sennin are the sage of the six paths. He had the first dojutsu and was the first person to ever use chakra. He was the original ninja and saved the world from a monster known as the Jubi, 10 tails. The Jubi was the progenitor of the Biju, which the Rikudo Sennin sealed inside himself and split the Jubi's chakra into 9 parts. By doing this he created the Biju. He also birthed sons who fathered the Uchiha clan as well as the Senju clan. Naruto and Hinata were wide-eyed at the information. So how did I unlock them and what can they do? Naruto asked. I'm not sure how you unlocked them. You could be the sage's reincarnation or it could be a gift from Kami for all I know. The Hokage said sadly. As for powers, the only things I know about it are you can see chakra but not on the scale of the Byakugan, have an affinity towards all 5 elements, and apparently you can rip people's souls out from their bodies. Everyone had dropped jaws from that. Then Naruto remembered something. Wait, I also know everything Mizuki knew. How's that even possible? He asked. The only thing I can think of is that you can learn people's thoughts and then rip out people's souls, but you have to be touching the person. The Hokage said. Wait, so Naruto has the Rinnegan and no one can teach him because the powers are unknown, so how could he possibly learn to use the powers? Iruka asked. I have an idea. Hiashi started getting everyone's attention. You said that the Kyuubi was created byn the sage, right? The Hokage nodded. So all Naruto-san has to do is ask the Kyuubi what the powers are. Hiashi said like it was simple. Which it is, but there is one problem. Why would the Kyuubi tell him? Iruka asked. It's better than nothing, I say we at least try it. Naruto said. Everyone nodded, wondering if it would work. They told him in order to enter his mind alls he had to do was meditate to enter. Naruto did just that and soon he was in his mindscape. Naruto opened his eyes and found himself in a large sewer filled with water. He walks through the corridors until he reaches a giant metal gate with a large piece of paper on the front that had the kanji for seal written on it. Naruto looks inside to find a giant fox with 9 tails sleeping. Hey fox, wake up, he shouted to the sleeping demon. Wahoo dares to wake the mighty and all-powerful Kyuubi no Kitsune. He then caught a glimpse of Naruto. Oh, it's just you. What do you want? Kyuubi asked simply. Naruto just sweat drops at the casual and insulting remark. Okay Kyuubi, I need information about my eyes. What can you tell me about them? Naruto demanded. Eyes? What eyes? Kyuubi asked. Naruto then showed him the Rinnegan. Kyuubi, the 9-tailed demon fox, had his jaw drop at the eyes. How can you have Tusan's eyes? Kyuubi asked. I don't know, but what can you tell me about the powers? Naruto asked. With these eyes you have an affinity for all 5 elements, Inton, Yin release, Yotan, Yang release, and Onmyotan, Yin Yang release. You also can use the 6 paths. Kyuubi said. 6 paths? Naruto asked confused. The 6 paths are Diva, Preta, Human, Animal, Asura, Naraka, and the outer path is a hidden seventh path that ties with Naraka. The Diva path gives you the power of gravity manipulation. Preta lets you absorb chakra. Human lets you absorb information from people as long as you are touching them, and you can also rip their souls out. Animal lets you have multiple summoning contracts, and you can even summon animals you don't have contracts with, but they will not have free will or remembrance of being summoned. Asura turns your body into mechanized armor and weapons. Naraka lets you summon a construct known as the King of Hell for interrogation purposes and revive the six paths themselves. The outer path uses the King of Hell to revive the dead by relinquishing souls back to their bodies. There is one more power, but you should tread lightly. It is called Banbutsu Sozo, creation of all things. Kyuubi explained. Naruto was wide-eyed and slack-jawed at the information, but something Kyuubi said was stuck in his mind. Wait, you said revive the six paths themselves, what do you mean? He asked the giant fox. One of the powers of the Rinnegan is shared vision. If you use clones, they can have the Rinnegan as well as its powers, and you see what they see. If you use dead bodies, the same can be used for them. However, I think you using all six paths yourself would be better. Naruto nodded as his powers would be divided. I mean, who wants that? Meanwhile, in a Megacure no Sato, hidden rain village, a shirtless man with red hair and needles protruding from his back due to the chair he was stuck to suddenly sneezed. Simultaneously, 6 people with orange hair and piercings on their bodies also sneezed. Back to the mindscape. Thank you for the information, Kyuubi, Naruto said to the Biju. Don't sweat it, kid, the Biju told the boy. Hey, why are you being so nice to me anyway? Naruto asked. Truth be told, you remind me of the sage, so I can't hate you. Besides, I actually have nothing against you or that blue-haired vixen of yours. Naruto blushed at the comment about Hinata because the fox knew he wanted to give her a chance. The truth is, I like you, kid. Not many have the gall to straight up demand answers from me without trying to make me a slave. So as an offer of good faith, I shall tell you my true name. Kyuubi said. Wait, you have a name? Naruto asked, shocked. Kyuubi sighed. You know everyone knows the Ichibi's true name, so why can't anyone believe the rest of us have names? Kyuubi asked irritably, then he sighed. Oh well, it can't be helped. My name is Kurama. Anyway, I have to tell you something later, but for now your time's up, kid. Kyuubi said as Naruto disappeared. That boy, he will be the one to unite us. I know it. I just hope the others will be ready when the time comes. Kyuubi thought. Naruto awoke to see Iruka and Hiashi speaking with the Hokage. Hinata was lying down next to him. When he rose up, Hinata awoke and everyone turned to him. He explained the other powers he has and everyone had their eyes widened. The Hokage was the first one out of his shock. I was originally going to put you on a team with Uchiha Sasuke and Haruno Sakura, but I think I will have to change the teams up. So much paperwork. The Hokage complained. Oh well, I'll see you tomorrow, Naruto-kun. Remember, team assignments are in 3 days. The Hokage said and left. Iruka also left, saying goodbye. The only people in the room were Naruto, Hinata, and Hiashi. Hinata, can you please leave the room? I only wish to speak to Naruto-san. Hiashi said to his daughter. She reluctantly left, leaving the two alone. Naruto-san, I wish to ask you a favor, but first I need to know what your intentions towards my daughter are. Hiashi calmly stated. Naruto looked rather scared, and who wouldn't after having a girl's father ask that to you? Oh well, I would like to get to know her and feel the same way about her as she does me. Naruto said to Hiashi. Very well, my favor is quite simple. Hinata cannot stay at the Hyuga compound for her safety, as the elders will try to kill her. So my favor is that she lives with you. Hiashi told the boy. Naruto was shocked but nodded. Hi, I accept this request, Hiashi-sama. Naruto stated determinedly. Good, but know this, you do anything, and I mean anything inappropriate at all to her, and I will jukin, gentle fist, your reproductive organs, and then I will have a medic heal them to repeat the process until I grow bored and castrate you with the family sword. Am I clear? He threatened Naruto with a Byakugan enhanced glare. Crystal, Hiashi-sama. Naruto stuttered out fearfully. Good. I'll be going now, and I will tell my daughter of what we discussed outside. I'll come by your apartment tomorrow with her things. Hiashi then left. About 3 minutes later, Hinata came in with a red face. So your father told you about the moving in with me? Naruto asked. Hinata shyly nodded. Hinata, Naruto started. Did you mean what you said? He asked her. Hi, I meant every word, Naruto-kun. she replied determinedly. Okay, then I can't say that I love you, but I want to give us a chance. Okay, Hinata-chan? Hinata blushed at the honorific and nodded her head. Then how about tomorrow we have a date? He asked. Yes. I mean that would be wonderful, she said smiling. Naruto smiled at her. Naruto got up from the bed and left the hospital with Hinata. As they went to Naruto's apartment, they ignored the glares he got. When they reached the apartment, they saw how messy it was, and Naruto decided to use his cage bunchins, shadow clones, to help clean up. It was night when they finished. Hinata decided to stay over, sleeping on the couch even though Naruto offered her his bed. 2 hours after they went to bed, Hinata awoke extremely uncomfortable on the couch. She went into Naruto's room and woke him up. Hinata-chan? What's wrong? He groggily asked. I can't sleep and I was wondering if I could sleep with you? She asked shyly and blushing up a storm. Naruto also blushed but nodded. Sure, Hinata-chan, he said. She climbed into his bed under the blankets and snuggled against Naruto. Thank you, Naruto-kun, she said before closing her eyes and drifting off to sleep. No, Hinata-chan, thank you for showing me that I can truly care, Naruto thought as he drifted off to sleep, embracing the girl next to him. Naruto awoke to a warmth at his side, huddled against him. He opened his eyes and noticed Hinata lying next to him, hugging him in her sleep. He smiled at the girl embracing him as she slept. Unfortunately, he felt a dark presence loom over him. He turned his head and saw his front door unlocked. But that wasn't what scared him. Oh no. What scared him was the figure in the doorway. Hinata's father, Hyuga Hiyashi. And his Byakugan-enhanced glare sent shivers to Naruto's very core. Hiyashi lunged at Naruto, smoldering anger in his eyes. Naruto jumped out of the bed as Hiyashi chased him. The commotion woke Hinata up. When her eyes opened, she noticed her father strangling Naruto in pure anger. Picture Homer Simpson strangling Bart. T2-san, what are you doing? She asked in shock as her father strangled the one she loved. This little brat is going to die. I warned him not to do anything I deemed inappropriate and he already screwed it up. He shouted, facing his daughter but still strangling Naruto. Father, we didn't do anything. I asked if I could sleep in his bed as I was uncomfortable on the couch. She said. This didn't really help as Hiyashi was still pissed after that explanation. He made you sleep on the couch? I'll kill him, Hiyashi yelled, increasing the strength of his wringing of Naruto's neck. Father, stop, Hinata shouted. This took Hiyashi aback as his daughter never shouted. Never. I chose to sleep on the couch even though he offered me his bed. I couldn't sleep, so I asked if we could share the bed. Now please stop strangling Naruto-kun, she exclaimed, and Hiyashi realized he was still strangling the boy. He then let go of the boy's neck, letting him fall to the floor. Naruto was catching his breath. Meanwhile, Kurama, who woke up to the commotion, was laughing his ass off. I would like to apologize for that, Naruto-san. It seems I had a slight overreaction, Hiyashi stated as if he hadn't just strangled the boy. This caused Naruto, Hinata, and Kurama to think in deadpan. That was just a slight overreaction for him? I accept your apology, Hiyashi-sama, Naruto stated, bowing. Hiyashi nodded. I just came to drop off Hinata's belongings and noticed the door open, so I was just going to bring them inside, but I got sidetracked, he explained. They nodded. Now if you'll excuse me, I must get back. I assume you can handle moving everything. They nodded. Good, I'll be off, and remember what I said, Naruto, don't do anything. And I mean anything, he said as he left. Naruto breathed a sigh of relief. Hinata, your dad scares me, he said. Hinata just nodded her head in understanding. Well, might as well get everything in the house, Naruto said. Naruto put his fingers in a cross seal. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, Shadow Clone Jutsu, he said, creating 10 clones. Hinata and him then went to bring the stuff inside along with the clones. After about 2 hours of bringing stuff in and putting them away, they finished. Naruto looked towards the clock and saw it was only 10 o'clock. Hey Hinata, want to get some breakfast? He asked. She nodded. They left the apartment and went to Ichiraku's for ramen, as not many places will let Naruto eat there. Hinata grew rather annoyed by that, as the whole Kyuubi thing is rather stupid to be hated for. As they were walking, they ignored the glares directed their way and the whispers, which were, the demon has a girlfriend? Just great. And, the demon's got a whore from the Hyuga clan. This actually pissed off Naruto, as he was tempted to rip the souls out of those idiots. Hinata saw this and held his hands smiling to calm him down. Naruto saw Hinata's smile and he instantly came back to normal as they walked to Ichiraku's. When they got there they were greeted by Ichiraku Tuchi and his daughter Ayame. Naruto ordered beef ramen and Hinata ordered chicken ramen. They sat eating and talking, getting to know each other. Naruto found out she was the girl he saved from bullies when they were 3 and that he was her inspiration. They also found out each other's likes, dislikes, and hobbies. After an hour Naruto paid for their food and left, going to a training ground so they can train. Hinata worked on her Juken katas while Naruto worked on his Rinnegan powers, and with some scrolls from the library that he borrowed, he worked on some elemental jutsu. Hinata found out that due to her natural flexibility she did not have the aptitude to use the standard Juken. So she started to create a form using her natural flexibility and calls the version Yuho, gentle step, which relies on spins and is akin to dancing mixed with fighting. Naruto was able to get Shinra Tensai, Almighty Push, and Bansho Tenin, Universal Pull, of the Diva Path power down to its basics. He also started using Kage Bunshin for his training in the elements and chakra control, which were from the scrolls he got while he worked on his other Rinnegan powers. After 4 hours of training Hinata was decent enough to hold off Chunin with her new style, while Naruto, thanks to Kurama's memories, was able to help him select a taijutsu style that Naruto calls Kitsunken, Fox Fist, which relies on speed and acrobatics. The style is basically speed and acrobatics combined with hard strikes. Similar to Goken, Strong Fist, but different stance and style itself. Naruto could probably hold off a few Chunin with that alone, but combining the style with his amount of Kage Bunshin and he can overwhelm some Jonin. Naruto also started to learn elemental jutsu, starting with wind jutsu. By the time their training ended at 7 o'clock, Naruto, thanks to his use of clones, was able to learn the leaf cutting exercise and how to use the chakra absorption power of Preta Path. Hinata worked on her form and created a move called Yuho, Kyu Tenohira no Sudareki, gentle step, 9 palm strikes, which is used to hit 9 tenketsu, chakra points, on an opponent while simultaneously dodging an opponent's attacks. They called it a day for training and went shopping for food. They then went back to the apartment around 7, where they ate a dinner that Hinata cooked. The dinner was baked chicken with sautéed vegetables over white rice. They sat, ate, and talked for an hour before they decided to go to bed with each other yet again, as they fell asleep wrapped in an embrace. Meanwhile, at the Hyuga compound, the clan head Hyuga Hiyashi had a sudden urge to strangle a certain blonde with whisker marks on his face and had no idea why. Said blonde shivered in his sleep. The next day Naruto and Hinata went to the Hokage Tower after breakfast to take their ninja registration license photos. After taking their photos, which Naruto didn't do anything stupid for fear of what Hinata would do to him. After training for 1 day with her, he learned that he will not even try to piss her off for fear of a Juken strike to the groin. That, and since they are now dating and living together, she became confident due to having approval from the one she wants to get it from. He also learned she has a sadistic side to her that she gained from her father. Also, Kurama explained the powers Naruto gets from him to both of them, so Hinata could basically pummel him and he would come back without a scratch, so she can repeat the process. After the photos, a little boy with spiky brown hair wearing a gray helmet, yellow shirt, gray shorts, and a blue scarf wrapped around his neck ran into the room and tried to throw a shuriken at the Hokage, only to trip over his scarf and proceeded to blame Naruto. Then a man in a blue jumpsuit, a bandana version of the Konoha headband and sunglasses, came in helping the boy up while glaring at Naruto. "Why'd you trip me?" the boy yelled to Naruto. "Gigi, who is this brat?" Naruto asked the Hokage as he gripped the boy by the collar. Hinata also was curious. "That's my grandson Konohamaru," the Hokage said, sighing. "Brat, put down the honorable grandson now." The sunglasses-wearing man yelled at Naruto. He apparently couldn't tell the difference between a kunai and a scroll it's sealed into. "Ha, what are you going to do now that you know who my grandfather is?" Konohamaru asked smugly. "I don't care if he's your grandmother Datbeo," Naruto exclaimed as he punched him on the top of his head and then left with Hinata following behind. "Don't worry, honorable grandson, you do not need to associate with that trash. I'm an elite Jonin and can put you on the path to becoming Hokage," the sunglasses-wearing Jonin said. And then he realized that Konohamaru was gone. "What? Where'd he go?" I think he went to follow Naruto and Hinata. The Hokage stated. What? After Naruto? The Jonin yelled as he ran out the door like he was being chased by a giant snake. Oddly enough, a purple-haired woman at a dango shop in Konoha sneezed, along with a sickly pale man and a gray-haired teenager with glasses who were living underground, just as this was thought by people. Meanwhile, in the village, Naruto and Hinata were walking along when they noticed they were being followed by the Hokage's grandson, who was rather poorly disguised, including a blanket made to look like the color of the fence but forgot to cover his legs as it only covered half of him. They continued onward until they got tired of being followed. They turned around and noticed they were followed by a square rock with eye holes. They both sweat dropped and Naruto finally had enough. "Oh, for the love of crap, we know you're there," Naruto shouted. The rock burst into a white cloud of smoke and the Hokage's grandson Sarutobi Konohamaru emerged. "Aha, just what I would expect of you. Okay, you will train me as your apprentice," Konohamaru said. What?" Naruto and Hinata said at the same time. "You heard me, you will train me so I can defeat my grandfather and become Hokage," he stated like it was simple. "Look kid, I'm not training you. I have too much stuff to do," Naruto said. "Come on, I heard you once used a technique that knocked him out. At least teach me that one," Konohamaru begged. Naruto looked deep in thought, thinking what technique he used to knock out the Hokage. Then his eyes flashed in realization. "You want me to teach you the Oiroke no jutsu? Well, I don't see why." Naruto was cut off by a feeling of pure terror that both Naruto and Konohamaru felt. They turned to see Hinata with a sickly sweet smile. "Naruto, are you planning on teaching him that jutsu?" she asked sweetly, and if you looked behind her you could see the visage of the Shinigami and for some reason a red-headed woman with her hair divided into 9 parts looking like tails standing up. Meanwhile, in the afterlife, a red-headed woman sneezed. "I get the sense that my son has incurred the use of a woman's ultimate technique. The face of 1,000 screaming souls no jutsu. Oh, the poor boy." Back on Earth, Naruto and Konohamaru started to shake in pure terror. "Of course I won't teach him that, just you, Hinata-chan," Naruto said in pure terror. "Good," she said, releasing her hold of terror. "I'm going to go home. I will see you later, Naruto-kun." She then left, leaving the boys alone. Naruto then, against his better judgment and thanks to some coercing from Konohamaru, decided to teach Konohamaru the technique after some escapades, including reading dirty magazines and peeking in bathhouses. After hours of training, Konohamaru got the technique down, transforming into a naked female version of himself. Then the sunglasses-wearing Jonin found them. "Honorable grandson, get away from that delinquent," the Jonin said to Konohamaru. "No, Ebisu-sensei, I'm actually learning so I can become Hokage and be acknowledged," Konohamaru said. "Come now, honorable grandson, and I can teach you the shortcuts of being Hokage." "There are no shortcuts to becoming Hokage. If Konohamaru doesn't want to go, he doesn't have to go," Naruto stated. "Stay out of this, brat," Ebisu told Naruto. "Come, honorable grandson, a Hokage needs to know thousands of jutsu, you don't even know one," he stated. "Oiroke no jutsu," Konohamaru said, transforming into a naked girl, which did nothing to affect Ebisu. "How dare you use such a distasteful jutsu? Come now, honorable grandson," he ordered. "It didn't work?" Konohamaru looked shocked. Naruto was just annoyed. He created 20 kage bunshin and combined them with the Oiroke no jutsu, creating the harem no jutsu. Ebisu shot backwards with a massive nosebleed due to him being a closet pervert. Naruto and Konohamaru parted ways, with Konohamaru declaring they were rivals for the Hokage position. Naruto went home, and when he reached the door he shivered at Hinata's sweet smile. "Naruto-kun, I got a message from Hokage-sama about you teaching Konohamaru-kun the Oiroke no jutsu. I thought I told you not to teach him that jutsu?" she said sweetly. Naruto shivered and noticed the same visages from earlier appeared yet again. "Run, Naruto-kun," she warned, and Naruto ran out of there. That night was filled with screams of pain and torture throughout the elemental nations. The Tsuchikage went white as a sheet of paper, the Mizukage shivered uncontrollably, the Hokage covered certain parts of his body, the Kazekage dropped in a dead faint due to sympathy pain, and the Raikage jumped out the window from fear. Men were shivering. A redhead in Sanagakure no Sato was being warned by his mother to stay the hell away from who could do this. Hiyashi was shivering, yet for some odd reason feeling proud of his daughter. A blonde woman with her hair in two tails and a large bosom was feeling proud of some woman somewhere. A man with long spiky white hair who was peeking on woman in a bathhouse was shaking uncontrollably due to fear of who was causing extreme pain to a fellow pervert. And finally, in a different universe, a teddy bear in Karakura town started to feel sorry for someone he never even met who was being killed by a woman for doing something perverted. Naruto was able to escape this ordeal without any significant damage to his reproductive organs thanks to his healing factor from Kurama, which Hinata knew about, which is why she attacked him, as she knew the damage would be healed. He also learned never to anger Hinata again, and never disobey her orders again. Naruto woke up in his apartment with Hinata snuggling against him. He instantly tensed due to the beating he was given by her. He knew Hinata was kind, but he now knows never to anger her. Ever. Hinata awoke when she felt Naruto tense. "Good morning, Naruto-kun," she said. Good morning, Hinata-chan," he said, still scared from the beating he got from her yesterday. Though she was in the right to do so. "I'm sorry about attacking you like that, Naruto-kun, but you had that coming," she said. "Yeah, I guess I did," he confirmed. "Well, how about I make breakfast as a way to apologize," she said. "Okay," he said, and they got up. Hinata took a quick shower and got dressed, then she went into the kitchen as Naruto did the same. She cooked them some pancakes and sausage with scrambled eggs and some orange juice. They left the apartment after breakfast and went to team placements. When they went to the academy and entered the classroom, people were shocked to see Naruto as they thought he had failed. A boy with a pineapple-style haircut. He wore a black shirt with a short-sleeved gray jacket and his forehead protector around his arm. He looked like he was half asleep, spoke up. "Naruto, what are you doing here? This is for people who passed," he said. "I did pass, Shikamaru. Didn't you notice my headband?" Naruto stated with a grin. "Troublesome," Shikamaru stated, and then went to sleep. "Okay, I have a question," a boy started. He was wearing a gray hoodie and had two red fang-looking tattoos, one on each cheek. He also had a feral smile and a small white puppy on his head. "Why are you two walking together?" he asked curiously. "Well, Kiba, we are now dating," this was answered by Hinata. Everyone absorbed this information. Then something extremely unexpected happened. Finally, "It's about Kami damn time." This was yelled by a boy with brown hair and sunglasses with a gray sweater that covered half of his face, including his mouth. Everyone turned shocked that this particular person yelled it. "Shino, what the hell you knew about her crush?" Naruto asked, still shocked that Shino of all people spoke like this. He had about as much emotion as a block of wood. Same with his clan. Dobi, everyone knew. This was said by a boy with black hair in the shape of a duck and was wearing a blue shirt with a symbol of a Gunbai fan that was half red on top with the bottom being white. He was Uchiha Sasuke and he was top of the class and a rival to Naruto. "Is this true?" Naruto asked as everyone in the class nodded. This included two girls who just arrived to hear the conversation. One had long blonde hair and was wearing all purple. She was Yamanaka Ino. The other was a girl with long pink hair and was wearing a red dress. She was Haruno Sakura. Naruto's face faltered at the reaction. Iruka walked in after Naruto got up. "Okay, everyone sit down. It's time to learn your team placements." Everyone sat down quietly, waiting for who would be called. Team 1 will be, doesn't matter, so skipping to the main teams. Team 7 is a special team. It is Uzumaki Naruto, Hyuga Hinata, Haruno Sakura, and Uchiha Sasuke. Your team will have two senseis. They are Hitaki Kakashi and Mitarashi Anko. This annoyed most girls in the class as they couldn't be with their Sasuke-kun. Except Sakura, who cheered. However, everyone was shocked that the Hokage allowed a 6-cell team. Team 8 is Inuzuka Kiba, Aburame Shino, and Tatsumaki Murasaki. Your sensei will be Yuhi Kurenai. Kiba and Shino nodded to each other and turned to their third teammate. She had long purple hair down to her neck and brown eyes. She wore dark blue pants with 3 purple stripes down each leg. She had purple shin guards. She wore a black t-shirt with a purple tornado designed on the back. She wore purple arm guards and black fingerless gloves. On her back was a black metal blowgun and at her waist were 2 purple geisha fans, one on each side. The design on each fan was of a white lotus flower. She nodded to the boys, smiling happy about their team. Since Team 9 is still in rotation, Team 10 is Nara Shikamaru, Akamichi Choji, and Yamanaka Ino. Your sensei will be Sarutobi Asuma. Ino creed about not being with Sasuke. A chubby boy with brown hair in a short-sleeved green jacket and yellow shirt with a red symbol on said shirt and a white scarf. He had a forehead protector that looked like a pair of underwear on his head and bandages around his hands. He was eating chips like they were his last meal. He is Akamichi Choji of the Akamichi clan. Shikamaru just sighed, stating it was going to be troublesome. When Iruka finished, a purple and tan blur came through the window, shattering it. The blur landed in the middle of the room. It was a woman. She had purple hair tied in a spiky ponytail and light brown pupil-less eyes. She had a Leaf Village headband on her forehead and she wore mesh armor with an orange skirt under a tan trench coat. Most boys had nosebleeds from the sight. The only ones who didn't were Naruto for fear of what Hinata would do to him, Sasuke because he was too busy brooding, Shino because he was stoic though he did blush, and Shikamaru because he was asleep. I'm the awesome and why Mitarashi Anko. Team 7 meet me on the roof. She exclaimed as everyone just looked at her like she was crazy. She did just jump through the window for Kami's sake. I said Team 7 meet me on the roof. She said as if no one heard her and then disappeared on the roof in a shunshin body flicker. Naruto, Hinata, Sasuke, and Sakura got up to head to the roof. They got there in 5 minutes and found Anko waiting. Okay, I'm gonna warn you guys now, she started. Kakashi is always 3 hours late to everything except for B rank or above missions. So we have 3 hours to kill. Now what do you all want to do to kill time? She asked. Oh I know, Naruto started as he went through his pockets. He pulled out a deck of cards. And then did a hand sign. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, Naruto created 3 clones. Run back to the apartment and get my prank supplies. Sensei is getting pranked badly by me for making us wait. The clones nodded and left. Sasuke and Sakura both raised an eyebrow at the solid clones. Now anyone up for poker? He asked. They all shrugged and played poker together. 3 hours later, a man with gravity-defying silver hair, a mask cover his nose and below of his face and his headband at an angle covering left eye entered the classroom. He wore the standard outfit most jonin wear. He walked into the classroom and tripped. He stepped into some tripwire. This caused him to fall to the ground face first into orange paint on the floor. The tripwire actually was a trigger for the rest of the trap. What happened was 4 buckets of paint fell and covered his back in purple paint. All in all, he looked crazy as hell. Kakashi was now annoyed for a particular reason. His book Icha Icha Paradise was also covered in paint. It was ruined. Kakashi looked on the blackboard and saw a message that said Team 7 was on the roof. He shinned to the roof and found everyone playing poker with Naruto having the most winnings. His eyebrow twitched at the sight. Okay, my first impression is that I hate all of you, he said to them. They all looked at him and laughed. Naruto and Anko were on the ground laughing and rolling around. Hinata and Sakura were giggling, and Sasuke stood silent but soon did the unthinkable. He laughed. He actually laughed. He burst out laughing like crazy at the sight. Everyone stopped to see Sasuke laugh and then checked the sky to see if it was blood red and rained fire. They all calmed down after Naruto won the next hand and took all of Anko's money. They all vowed never to play cards for money with Naruto again, although Anko did mention something about bringing him to some casinos. The genin sat on the ground. Kakashi stood in front of them while Anko sat behind him on the railing. Okay, why don't we all introduce ourselves? Kakashi said. How so, sensei? Sakura asked. Oh, you know your name, likes, dislikes, hobbies, and goals for the future. I'll start. My name is Hitaki Kakashi. I have things I like and things I don't like. As for my dreams for the future, I have lots of hobbies, he said. This caused everyone to think the same thing. All we learned was his name. Guess I'm next. Anko started. My name is Mitarashi Anko. I like dango, red bean soup, snakes, and tea. My dislikes include a certain snake and spicy food. My hobbies include conducting tea ceremonies and torturing people at the T&I department. My goals for the future, well, there's a certain creature that I want to behead, she said. Pepto-Bismol, you're up, she said, pointing at Sakura, who looked annoyed at the nickname. My name is Haruno Sakura. My likes are, she looks at Sasuke. My dislikes are Ino Pig and Naruto Baka. Naruto then cut her off. Yeah, I could care less, Naruto said nonchalantly. This took everyone except Hinata aback. But then they remembered he was dating Hinata now. My hobbies include, looks at Sasuke. And my goal for the future, looks at Sasuke. Everyone had the same thought. Great, a fangirl. Wonderful. Everyone sarcastically thought. Okay, Lord Emo, you're up. Anko said to Sasuke. He grunted in annoyance at the nickname. My name is Uchiha Sasuke. I like very few things and dislike most things. I have no hobbies in my dream. Well, it isn't a dream because I will make it a reality. My goal is to restore my clan and kill a certain person. Sasuke stated in his emo tone. This caused everyone to think on what he said. Goody, he's on a revenge kick. I'll have to try to put him off that path. Kakashi. Sasuke-kun is so cool. Sakura. Am I going to be the only normal person on this team? Hinata. Geez, who ticked him off this much? Naruto. Well said, Mr. Unicorns and Sunflowers. Anko just said, vocalizing her thought. Blondie, go, she said to Naruto, who went straight to his introduction. My name is Uzumaki Naruto. I like Hinata-chan, said girl blushed. Ramen, and training. My dislikes are people who can't tell the difference between a kunai and a scroll it's sealed in and vegetables. My hobbies are training with Hinata-chan and gardening. My goal is to live up to the legacies I hold and become Hokage. He said. Everyone minus Hinata was shocked that he didn't blurt out something like, I'm gonna be Hokage, believe it. Hinata isn't shocked because she knows Naruto better than most just from the short time living with him. Also, with his approval, she is more confident. Sakura and Sasuke were confused about the three legacies but said nothing for now. Kakashi and Anko were filled in on the blonde's powers and heritage. Needless to say, they were both shocked to hear of his bloodline. Anko facepalmed for not noticing who he looked like, while Kakashi knew beforehand. Well done. Lastly, Princess, you're up. Anko said. My name is Hyuga Hinata. I like Naruto-kun and cinnamon buns. My dislikes are ignorant people and the caged bird seal. My hobbies include being with Naruto-kun and training with him. My goal for the future is to unite my clan, prove myself to the village, and start a family with a certain person. She said, shyly looking at Naruto, blushing. Naruto blushed and everyone was taken aback at what she said. They were wondering if this was the same shy Hinata from the academy because that was pretty bold. But it was time to move forward with the meeting. Well, Anko and I are your senseis. Well, that is if you can pass our test. Kakashi stated. Wait, what test? We already passed the test at the academy. Sakura said. The genin were all confused since they already took a test. That was just to see if you had the potential to become genin. There is a test we give you to become official genin. We'll meet at Training Ground 7 tomorrow at 6 a.m. Oh, and I'd advise you not to eat breakfast tomorrow or you'll throw up. Kakashi said and disappeared. Anko followed after. Naruto and Hinata left soon after while Sasuke left, followed by a fawning Sakura. Naruto and Hinata soon went to Training Ground 13. A forest training ground with a waterfall. Hinata went to work on their stuff. Naruto created 500 clones and sent them to work. 100 did tree climbing. 200 did the waterfall cutting exercise, and the last 200 did their taijutsu katas. The original Naruto meanwhile worked on his diva path and mastered Shinra Tensei, Almighty Push, and Bansho Tenin, Universal Pull, completely. Hinata worked on her Jukin and the tree climbing exercise. After 2 hours, Naruto's clones got the exercise down and started working on just U to use. They trained for 5 more hours and Naruto had 3 of the paths down and had 6 wind jutsu down. They are Futon, Repusho, Wind Style, Gale Palm, C rank, Futon, Kei's no Yari, Wind Style, Wind Spear, B rank, Futon, Daitopa, Wind Style, Great Breakthrough, C rank, Futon, Kei's Boru no Jutsu, Wind Style, Wind Ball Jutsu, B rank, Futon, Kei's no Hanma, Wind Style, Wind Hammer, B rank, and Futon, Kei's Hoshi no Jutsu, Wind Style, Wind Star Jutsu, A rank. Hinata ironed a few kinks out of her taijutsu and worked her chakra control better. The two went home, ate dinner and fell asleep together. They were ready for the test tomorrow. Naruto and Hinata awoke at 4 o'clock in the morning. They showered and both agreed to eat a small breakfast. They grabbed their gear and went out. They decided to go to a weapons store to supply for their test. With Naruto now having some more access to his parents' money, they could buy more than just the essentials. They went into a local shop called Kinzoku Tora, the Metal Tiger. They were met by someone Hinata knows. It was her cousin's teammate 1010. She wore a pink blouse and dark green pants and had her brown hair tied into twin buns with two bangs falling over her headband. Her father owns the weapon shop and she works part-time there. Hinata and her are decent friends since she saw her a lot around her cousin. "Welcome to Kinzoku Tora, how can I help? Hinata, what are you doing here?" she asked, recognizing Hinata. "Oh, Naruto-kun and I are getting some weapons for Genin test." Hinata explained. "Oh well, then feel free to look." "Wait, who are you with?" she asked. That would be me," Naruto spoke up. 1010 looked at him and then turned to Hinata. "Your boyfriend?" Hinata nodded. "Okay Naruto, can I speak to you?" she asked. Naruto nodded and followed her. They went to the other side of the store and 1010 met him with a hostile glance. "Listen Naruto, and listen while I consider Hinata a friend, so if you hurt her, so help me Kami, I will rain 3,000 kunai down on a specific region of your body. Are we clear?" she asked, and to make it even more threatening she happened to be spinning a kunai around her finger. "CC crystal clear," Naruto replied in terror. "Good, now let's get you two some new gear," she said with a smile as if she hadn't just threatened Naruto. Naruto just sweat dropped at the mood change. Naruto and Hinata looked around the store for some weapons when some clothes they saw caught their eyes. Hinata was eyeing a pair of black Anbu pants, a black shirt, and a purple jacket with a hood. While Naruto found a pair of black pants with an orange stripe down the legs, a black long-sleeved shirt, some orange and black fingerless gloves and a long short-sleeved black coat decorated with orange flames. It also had a red and yellow swirl designed towards the top on the back. The coat also had a hood. The clothes were looked to be made for them, like some higher power just happened to make them specifically for them. Nah, could you imagine that? That would be like someone controlling your every move. I mean, who would believe that? They bought the clothes, changed, and then got some weapons. They bought the essentials along with special weapons for themselves. Hinata got herself a pair of sei which had purple handles. Naruto found a sword. It was a katana with a shining silver blade, but the handle was actually black and white cords coiling around each other like snakes over a wood handle. They bought their equipment and headed to the training grounds. When they arrived, it was 6 o'clock and Sasuke and Sakura had also arrived. Sasuke and Sakura were noticeably tired and holding their stomachs and were impressed by the new clothes. They all then remembered Anko's warning on Kakashi being late. It was going to be a long 3 hours. Naruto decided to send his clones to scout the area while he tried his new sword out a little. Hinata did the same with her sei. They weren't ready to be used in real combat as they had no experience, but they didn't think that having them for the test would hurt. Sasuke was doing some light training while Sakura fawned over him. After 3 hours of light training, Anko and Kakashi showed up in a swirl of leaves. "Sorry we're late. We got lost on the road of life." Everyone minus Kakashi and Anko had twitching eyebrows. Kakashi held up 2 bells and threw one to Anko, who caught it. "Okay, your test is to get these bells from Anko and myself. Anyone without a bell goes back to the academy. Any questions?" he asked. "But sensei, there's only 2 bells." Sakura said. "Good observation, Pinky. That just means 2 of you are going back to the academy indefinitely." Anko said. The genin were shocked by this information. "If I don't get a bell, Sasuke-kun won't be with me." Sakura thought. "If I don't win, I can't defeat him since I'll be sent back, Sasuke. If Naruto-kun doesn't get a bell, he'll be sent back and won't become Hokage, Hinata. If Hinata-chan doesn't win, she won't be able to prove everyone who doubts her wrong." Naruto. Everyone looks at Kakashi and Anko with determination, and then Kakashi pulls out an alarm clock along with 2 boxes of lunch. "You have till noon to get a bell. If you don't have a bell, you don't get lunch." He heard Sakura and Sasuke's stomachs growl, but not Hinata and Naruto's. He then set up an alarm clock to go off at noon. "Your test starts now." The genin disappear while Anko walks to a different part of the training ground. Kakashi just stays where he is. Hinata was running to a hiding spot, but as she was running she started to think. How would fresh genin beat one jonin, let alone 2? Also, I've never heard of a 2-man team with 2 senseis. I mean, a team of 4 with 2 senseis is weird enough, but if 2 were sent back we wouldn't need an extra jonin sensei. That's when it hit her. They're trying to separate us by turning us against each other. She deduced. She then heard sounds of a battle and Naruto's voice. "The others need to know this," she said and raced off to find everyone. She saw a flash of pink smash into a tree. She jumped down to check on it. It was Sakura who was thrown into a tree by her opponent. Out of the shadows stepped the snake mistress herself, Mitarashi Anko. Well, looks like the princess wants to play. Be a good girl and leave so I can finish the pink harpy over there," she said, pointing to the downed Sakura. "Not happening," Hinata said, determined, entering her Jukin stance. "Why help her? It's not like you two are friends?" Anko asked. "She's a comrade, that alone is enough," Hinata said. "Fine then, princess. Let's dance," Anko exclaimed, charging Hinata. Anko went for a right hook to Hinata's face. Hinata ducked, activated her Byakugan, and brought her left arm up, trying to palm strike Anko in her chest. Anko dodged to the left, bringing her right leg up to Hinata's chest. Hinata jumped over the kick in a flip. While flipping, she used 2 fingers on her right hand and hit a chakra point in Anko's leg. Hinata landed on her legs back facing Anko. Hinata bent down, brought her right leg out to sweep Anko. Anko jumped over the sweep kick. She turned in midair and brought her left arm down towards Hinata in a hammerfist-like fashion. Hinata bent to her left to dodge the strike. Hinata spun and brought her right palm to Anko's chest, hitting another chakra point. Anko staggered from the hit but regained her footing. "Not bad, princess, but I'm about to step it up." Anko went through hand seals, snake tiger. Seneashu, striking shadow snakes. Snakes emerged from beneath Anko's sleeves. Hinata dodged one snake bending to the left, then jumped over another snake. While she was in the air, 2 more snakes lunged at her. Hinata did a spinning axe kick to one snake and palm struck the other snake coming at her simultaneously. She then saw a snake lunging at Sakura. Hinata threw a shuriken at that snake, to which the snake dodged by returning to its master. Hinata landed on the ground and rushed at Anko. Anko threw her bell in the air but then threw a shuriken at Sakura. Hinata could either get the bell or save Sakura. Hinata threw a kunai at the shuriken to block it. Anko grabbed the bell in midair and then leapt into the forest since Hinata was distracted. Hinata went to help Sakura by waking her. She succeeded after shaking her awake. "Hinata, what happened?" Sakura asked, confused. "Anko knocked you out and fought me. I know the real meaning of the test. It's teamwork. We all need to work together," Hinata told Sakura. "What makes you so sure? Think about this, if we're a team of 4 with 2 senseis and they wanted to separate us, they would have done that in the beginning, giving 2 of us 1 sensei and 2 to another. 2 genin with 2 sensei would be overbalanced. Also, do you really think genin fresh out of the academy can beat 1 jonin, let alone 2? Hinata told the girl. Sakura thought on it for a second and then it hit her. Hinata was right. We had to tell Sasuke-kun and Naruto, Sakura said. Hinata agreed and went to find the boys. Meanwhile, in the shadows, Anko was watching this with a smile. They understood the test. She knew they would all pass, but that didn't mean she wouldn't still screw with them during the test. Meanwhile, on the other side of the grounds, Kakashi was waiting for something, anything to happen. Sasuke and Naruto decided to attack, but they chose the exact same moment. Kakashi saw them and decided to reach into his weapons pouch to pull out an orange book called Icha Icha Paradise, which he started to read. The genin grew annoyed and decided to attack. Naruto rushed, throwing a right punch to Kakashi's head. Kakashi ducked, still reading his book. Sasuke came up, throwing left kick to the ducking Kakashi. Kakashi caught Sasuke's leg with his free hand while still reading his book. Kakashi threw Sasuke into Naruto, who caught Sasuke. Sasuke pushed himself away from Naruto and turned back to Kakashi. Sasuke charged Kakashi and unleashed a flurry of punches at Kakashi. Kakashi actually put his book away to dodge the hits. Sasuke jumped, going for a right punch to Kakashi's head. Kakashi bent to his right to dodge and Sasuke flipped, using his momentum to send his left leg to Kakashi, who blocked it with both arms. What Kakashi failed to notice was Naruto sliding behind him, tripping him. Sasuke's force combined with the kick sent Kakashi to the ground. Kakashi sprung up quickly though. "You two aren't bad, but let's test your ninjutsu now," Kakashi said, getting ready. Naruto and Sasuke smirked. Naruto created a cross seal. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. 30 clones were created and rushed Kakashi, who was taking out clones left and right. Kakashi jumped into the air to dodge 5 clones sending kicks at him. What he then noticed was Sasuke going through hand seals. Kakashi recognized Sasuke's and did the same set of hand seals. Tiger Monkey Boar Horse Tiger, Kaden. Gokakyu no Jutsu. Fire Style. Fireball Jutsu. Kakashi and Sasuke spewed 2 large fireballs at each other. The fireballs collided, fighting for dominance. Neither flame was giving out in this contest. Naruto, watching this, had enough and went through his own hand seals. Tiger Ox Dog Rabbit Snake, Futon. Daitopa. Wind Style. Great Breakthrough. Naruto held his hands together, creating a gust of wind. He sent it towards Sasuke's fireball to increase its power. Kakashi saw his flame being overpowered and released his technique. He then dropped to the ground from the air and rushed at Naruto, but he was thrown off his course when a small fireball hit the ground in front of him. Sasuke was spewing fireball after fireball from his mouth using the Kaden. Hozenka no Jutsu. Fire Style. Phoenix Flower Jutsu. Kakashi started to run in the opposite direction and dodging left and right to avoid the fireballs. Naruto decided to use a path against Kakashi. He created 5 Kage Bunshin and activated his Rinnegan as well as the ones in the clones. The first clone held out his hand towards Kakashi. Bansho Tenin. Universal Pull. Kakashi was pulled towards the clone by an invisible force. As Kakashi was flying, another Naruto clone came up and left-kicked Kakashi in the face, sending him flying back as the first clone released the technique. Another clone came from behind Kakashi and left-punched him in his spine. The impact from the punch along with the momentum from the flight made Kakashi arch his back in pain. A fourth clone used a right uppercut to Kakashi's face as he was still stuck to the clone's fist at his spine. Kakashi went flying upwards. A fifth clone came above the flying Kakashi and gripped his hands together, bringing them down on Kakashi's head in a hammer-like move. Kakashi fell towards the earth. The original Naruto held his hand out to the falling Kakashi and muttered, "Bansho Tenin." Kakashi was brought down towards Naruto's outstretched hand. Naruto was just about to grab the bells from behind Kakashi when Sasuke kicked Kakashi away from Naruto into a tree. "Teme, what was that for? I almost had him," shouted Naruto. "Please Dobi, you can't be serious. That bell is mine, but thanks for softening him up for my victory," Sasuke said, and then noticed Naruto's eyes. "What happened to your eyes?" Sasuke asked. Naruto realized that he hadn't deactivated his Rinnegan, which he was going to keep secret for now. That option flew out the window. "It's not important," Naruto said. "Dobi, I demand you tell me what happened to your eyes." "Well, now I have to say I was impressed with how you guys fought, but now I'm just disappointed since instead of going for victory you two are having a petty squabble," a voice said that stopped the argument quickly. They turned to the voice and saw Kakashi standing. He was bruised and a little injured, but he could still fight. "Now it ends here for you two." Kakashi started going through hand seals. Tiger Dragon Horse Dog Dragon Tiger. Kaden. Moru Nagale no Jutsu. Fire Style. Blazing Stream Just You. Kakashi blew a stream of fire at the two. The flames were blood red in color and they blew into a large wave of fire. The fire was too large for Naruto to absorb fully with his Preta path. And even though he could, Sasuke would also get hit. The flames were also too quick for them to dodge. Naruto had no options, but luckily they didn't need to wait long. 2 blurs grabbed them and took them out of the way. One was pink and red while the other was blue and purple. Kakashi saw what happened and decided to read his book. Anko showed up, sweat dropping at the sight of Kakashi reading that book. "How'd Hinata and Sakura do?" Kakashi asked Anko without looking up from his book. "Pinky was knocked into a tree by me easily after trying to rush at me with a punch. I just swatted her away into a tree. She needs to train a lot," she said. "And Hinata?" he asked. "Princess actually got a few hits on me, but more importantly she defended Pinky from me multiple times. She gave up the chance for a belt to save her actually. I think she figured it out," Anko said. Kakashi smirked under mask. "We'll see since there's only an hour and a half left." With the genin, Naruto and Sasuke were wondering what just happened. "Okay, I know you two are questioning what happened, but we need to tell you two the true point of the test," Hinata told them. This got the boys' attention. "Think about this, when have there ever been 2 man cells with 1 Jonin, let alone 2? If we did that we wouldn't need two Jonin because they could just split us up into two separate cells. Also, how would they expect Genin to take on one Jonin single-handedly, let alone two Jonin? The test is teamwork, we all have to work together. Hinata explained. The two boys thought over it and saw the logic and nodded, agreeing to work together. They all then thought up a plan. Kakashi was still reading while Anko was twirling a kunai around her finger. They were then put on guard by the loud rings of Kaden, Gokakyu no Jutsu, Fire Style, Fireball Jutsu, and Futon, Repusho, Wind Style, Gale Palm. Out of the forest came a large inferno at the two Jonins. They dodged the flames, Kakashi jumping to his right while Anko jumped to her left. This was all a setup though. Out of the forest as the Jonins dodged, Hinata struck at the still dodging Anko with a palm strike to her ribs. Kakashi was on the receiving end of a right hook from Sakura. They were sent back, and that's when they felt something hit their backs. They crashed into each other. They looked up and found themselves surrounded by the genin. Kakashi and Anko leapt up to their feet ready to fight. Sasuke rushed Kakashi only to jump over him to hit Anko with an axe kick to her head. Perplexed by the attack, Kakashi was struck by two fists. A left punch from Sakura and a right punch from Naruto. Both shots to his face. Hinata struck it with a few gentle fist strikes to Anko's stomach. Anko dodged each shot, but that is when Sasuke struck her from behind with a punch to the staggered, but then decided to step up her game. She summoned some snakes to attack. Hinata struck each one of them and then threw 4 kunai knives at Anko. Anko did a matrix-style back bend to dodge, but Sasuke appeared as she was dodging and axe kicked her stomach, dropping her to the ground. The kunais hit their intended target, who happened to be Kakashi. Kakashi was dodging the flurry of punches Sakura was sending, while Naruto was sending a flurry of kicks at his head and waist. As he was about to go on the offensive, felt something hit his legs. 4 kunai, 2 in each leg. Kakashi dropped to his knees and was then kicked in the back of the head by Naruto. Kakashi flew into a tree and Anko was thrown into the same one by the combination of Naruto and Sakura. Hinata then ran to strike their tenketsu while they were down. What she didn't realize was Anko was now awake and sent a kunai at her. Hinata had no time to dodge and the kunai hit her shoulder. With a yell of pain, Hinata fell to the ground clutching her shoulder. Naruto, seeing this, became enraged and activated his Rinnegan and held out both of his hands. Bansho Tenin, Universal Pull. Kakashi and Anko were pulled towards him. Naruto released the technique when they were close enough and Sasuke and Sakura jumped at their teachers. Sakura punched Anko with a strong right punch to her face, sending her falling to the ground. Sasuke did the same to Kakashi. They then grabbed the bells while Naruto ran to check on Hinata. But then an alarm bell went off. You did well, but it seems Naruto and Hinata are going back to the academy, Kakashi said as both he and Anko started to stand. No, they aren't, Sasuke started. We know the point of the test. It's teamwork. You tried to divide us, but it didn't work. If they go back, we go back with them, Sasuke said. Kakashi then turned to Sakura. Do you agree? Sakura nodded with conviction. Well then, you all. Kakashi was cut off by Anko. You all pass. And remember these words: those who break the rules are trash, but those who abandon their comrades are lower than that. Okay, we start training and missions tomorrow. Gotta go, bye. Anko said quickly and then disappeared in a swirl of leaves, shocking everyone. Damn it, Anko, you ruined my speech, Kakashi yelled with a twitching eyebrow. Anyway, we meet here tomorrow at 6 o'clock. Goodbye, kids, he said and also disappeared in a swirl of leaves. The genin were the only ones in the field. Hinata was being bandaged by Naruto after having the kunai removed from her shoulder. Sasuke then remembered something from the test. Dobi, what happened to your eyes before? He asked Naruto. Sakura was curious as well, since Sasuke was curious. Since we're on a team, I'll tell you. The Hokage said I have a bloodline that hasn't been seen in centuries. It is the original Kekkei Genkei, the Rinnegan, which was wielded by the Rikudo Sennin. He then activated his eyes, showing them. They were shocked by the info. Sakura fainted in shock and Sasuke just froze. Naruto then left with Hinata in his arms after picking her up bridal style. Sasuke saw his retreating form and thought, that power should be mine. I will gain power to kill that man. I swear it. So long as you stay out of my way, you'll be fine, Dobi. Sasuke then took a bento box and left while Sakura was still on the ground unconscious. She woke up, took a bento box and left, wondering what would happen tomorrow with their team. Naruto and Hinata awoke at 4 o'clock to get ready. They showered, got dressed, and ate breakfast. They left at 5:30 towards Training Ground 7. On the way they ran into Kurenai with her genin team. Hinata and Naruto decided to greet them. "Good morning Kurenai-sensei, Murasaki-san, Kiba-san, Shino-san." Hinata greeted while Naruto waved at them. "Good morning Hinata-chan, Naruto-san. What are you doing today?" Kurenai asked. "We are going to our team meeting," Hinata said. Kurenai then saw how close Naruto and Hinata seemed to be. And while she has nothing against the boy, she did see Hinata as a daughter. So by the laws of life itself she had the right to threaten Naruto. "Naruto, come here for a moment," she said, calling him over. She then bent down and whispered in his ear. "I see you and Hinata are together, which is good, so I'll warn you now. You hurt her and I have a special genjutsu reserved for you." She finished. The special genjutsu she is referring to is continuous loop of a Jonin wearing a green spandex suit with orange leg warmers and flak jacket with black bowl-cut hair and thick eyebrows hugging a boy who is wearing the exact same thing down to the hair and eyebrows just without the flak jacket and has bandages wrapped around his arms while there is a sunset in the background and the sound waves crashing. It is basically like playing a video since it is like a recording. Meanwhile, a certain Hyuga with white eyes, long brown hair and wearing a khaki shirt and brown shorts, bandages around his right arm and his right leg and a black headband around his forehead named Neji suddenly shivered along with his teammate 10-10 at the feeling of horrors unimaginable being forced on someone. "Neji, did you feel that?" 10-10 asked. "Yes. It seems someone has been threatened with something unimaginably terrifying. Let's hope they are not fated to befall that fate," Neji said, as they continued watching their sensei and fellow teammates shout about the joys of youth. Naruto nodded to Kurenai, a little scared by the vague threat, but other than that he was calm. He was starting to get used to being threatened by now, though of course he wouldn't ever hurt Hinata. Everyone talked some more with Kiba and Naruto vowing to beat down the other the next chance they get. Shino and Kurenai didn't talk much. And Murasaki talked with Hinata about some things and Murasaki recommended she find her nature affinity and that she should ask their senseis about it. Naruto and Hinata left to the training grounds. When they got there at 7 o'clock they noticed there was a lake. They decided to work on the water walking exercise before everyone else got there. They trained for an hour, Hinata having it down while Naruto was close thanks to his Kage Bunshin, shadow clones. They used the rest of the time to train their weapon skills. Naruto practiced with his katana, which was not yet named. Hinata also trained with her sei, which when combined with the Jukin, gentle fist, makes it even more deadly. Sasuke and Sakura soon arrived and decided to do some stretches. Okay, Sasuke stretched while brooding and Sakura fawned over him. Kakashi and Anko arrived in 2 swirls of leaves. "Sorry we're late, but we had to help out some old ladies with their bags," Kakashi said with his eye smile. The team just ignored it. "Okay, today we're going to test your skills individually to see where you need improvements. Sakura, you're up against Anko first," Kakashi said. Sakura nodded and entered the Academy Taijutsu stance. Anko grinned wickedly and entered her Hibiken stance. Everyone else jumped to the sides to watch. "Ready?" Kakashi asked. The 2 fighters nodded. "Hajime!" Kakashi yelled. Sakura ran at Anko and sent a few punches at Anko's face. Anko dodged each shot rather easily. Jumping back, she pulled out a scroll. She opened the scroll and in a puff of smoke out came a bottle of sake and a stick of dango. Anko started eating and drinking while everyone else watched, sweat dropping. Sakura grew angry and sent a flurry of punches and kicks while Anko dodged them without even concentrating on the moves. Sakura had enough and sent one last punch to Anko's face. Anko sidestepped with the dango still in her mouth. Sakura accidentally punched the dango stick out of her mouth, sending it falling across the training grounds. Kakashi watched this scene in pure horror. If there is one thing everyone knows, it's that dango to Anko is ramen to Naruto. If you screw with it, the after effects are the stuff that make even Orochimaru scared. Meanwhile in Otogakure, an extremely pale man with the eyes of a snake and long black hair suddenly dropped a test tube on the floor in shock. He started breathing rapidly and shaking uncontrollably. I feel as though someone has unleashed the wrath of my former student by committing sacrilege to her dango. I feel extremely sorry for whoever did that, he thought in pure terror. Back at the training grounds, Anko's face showed shock and then became a face that made Sakura lose all color. From afar, Kakashi visibly stepped back from fear. Hinata jumped into Naruto's arms from fright while he had all the color drained from his face. Sasuke started shaking uncontrollably, thinking, she's scarier than Itachi. The face had eyes of smoldering anger and had a malicious predator-like grin. She also had a visage of the Shinigami behind her. You ruined my dango? She said slowly. Your life is now forfeit. Seneashu. Striking shadow snakes. Anko shouted, sending 13 snakes out of each sleeve. Sakura did the thing any sane person would do. She ran for her life, dodging snakes left and right while screaming. Kakashi soon called it after about 5 minutes of this. Okay, you've made your point, Anko. You win, Kakashi said to get her to stop. Anko nodded but sent a look to Sakura that said, we're not finished yet. Okay Sakura, a couple of things. 1. You used no ninjutsu or genjutsu, so get some. 2. Your taijutsu is literally punches and kicks with no form, so work on that. And 3. Anko cut him off. Stop being a useless fangirl. Anko shouted at the pink-haired girl. Everyone's sweat dropped at that remark except Sakura, who looked affronted by the idea of being a fangirl. I'm not a fangirl, my love for Sasuke-kun is genuine just as for me is. She said like she was perfectly sane. What she didn't notice was moving behind a tree or the sounds of gagging and heavy breathing. Okay Sasuke, you're up against Anko next, Kakashi said. Sasuke came from behind the tree and stood in front of Anko in the Uchiha Interceptor fist stance. Anko entered her Hibiken stance. They rushed at each other. Sasuke sent a left punch to Anko's head, who ducked. She sent her right leg to Sasuke's midsection as she ducked. Sasuke gripped the leg and flipped over her. When he landed, he swept her legs with his own. Anko fell on her back but quickly sprung up, sending a punch to Sasuke's face as he stood up from the leg sweep. Sasuke was sent back skidding across the grass until he stopped a few feet away from Anko. He then went through Hanseal's rat tiger dog ox rabbit tiger, Kaden, Hosenka no jutsu, fire style, phoenix flower jutsu. Multiple fireballs shot out of Sasuke's mouth, to which Anko proceeded to dodge left and right. After dodging the last one, doing a matrix-style back bend, she came up and saw Sasuke finishing up a series of hand signs. Shinsena Uchiha Kaden, Ryusei Boresu, Sacred Uchiha fire style, meteor breath. Out of Sasuke's mouth shot a crimson-colored fireball the size of a building. It raced at Anko at high speed. Anko had no time to dodge, so she used a jutsu that she hated the thought of using. However, she could either use it or get burned to a crisp. She placed her hands on the ground and shouted, Kachiyose, Rashomon. Summoning, Rashomon. A large gate with a menacing face on the doors came out of the ground. It stopped the large fireball easily. Sasuke started panting after that technique, since he used most of his chakra in that fireball attack. Well done Sasuke. You live up to the title of Rookie of the Year, but you still need to work on a few things, such as adding some new jutsu to your repertoire, getting experience, and ironing out a few flaws in your taijutsu. Kakashi said. My taijutsu has no flaws. It is superior to all other styles. Sasuke said arrogantly. Kakashi will also have to work on getting rid of your arrogance, Gaki, brat. Anko said. Sasuke scowled at that remark. Okay, next up is Hinata. Hinata nodded with Naruto wishing her luck. Hinata stood before Anko, entering her Yuho stance and activating her Byakugan. Anko entered her stance and rushed at Hinata. Anko threw a left punch at Hinata's face. Hinata dodged by spinning around the punch. She then hit 3 tenketsu points in Anko's left arm as she dodged the punch. Hinata then kicked Anko's leg out from under her, making her fall. As Anko fell, Hinata laced her hands with chakra and hit 9 points on Anko, 2 in the stomach area, 3 on each rib, and the last one in the chest. All the while she shouted, Yuho! Q Tenohira no Sutareki! Gentle step! 9 palm strike! Anko was oshed into the ground hard on the last shot by Hinata. Kakashi called the match after that. Okay Hinata, well done, you just need some just you and experience. You should also improve your new taijutsu, but Anko can help with that. Hinata nodded and unblocked Anko's Tenketsu points. Anko, I'm going to spar with Naruto so you can watch the match. Anko nodded and went off to the side. Kakashi stood in front of Naruto and pulled out his Icha Icha Paradise book. This caused Anko to get annoyed and she went over to Naruto and whispered in his ear something. Naruto nodded to what she said. Naruto entered the Kitsunken stance. He then created 30 kage Bunshin. Kakashi just dodged and attacked the clones without even looking up from his book. The original Naruto decided to activate his Rinnegan and held out his hand muttering, Bansho Tenin, Universal Pull. What was pulled was not Kakashi but his book. Kakashi's eyes grew wide with fear and he rushed at Naruto, grabbing the book quickly and landing behind him. Kakashi then turned with his hands clapped together with the middle and index fingers pointing up. Never let an opponent get behind you, Naruto. Senin Garashi. 1000 Years of Death. As Kakashi was about to stick his fingers up Naruto's behind, there was an explosion that sent him back. Apparently he didn't notice Naruto put a small-scale exploding note on his book. The book exploded and sent him back. Kakashi saw the scattered pages of his destroyed book and cried a tear out of his visible eye. Meanwhile, Anko was laughing her ass off, leaning on Hinata for support while Hinata was laughing as well. Sakura was giggling and Sasuke was being Sasuke and standing there impassively, though in his mind a chibi version of him was laughing his ass off. Naruto held his palms outward and channeled chakra to them. Futon. Kei's Hoshi no Jutsu. Wind style. Wind star jutsu. Out of Naruto's palms came a swirling wind that kept swirling around him. It formed into one visible whitish-blue 5-point star. Naruto threw the star at Kakashi, who dodged it. Or so he thought. The star separated into 5 points and flew at Kakashi. Kakashi, who wasn't expecting this, got hit in the legs and one arm. Naruto was then decided to finish it with Shinra Tensei, Almighty Push, but was stopped by an odd feeling. Kakashi threw a kunai at him. Naruto held his hands on instinct and the kunai stopped in midair. It just stayed there suspended and Naruto had no idea how. If he had used Shinra Tensei or Bansho Tenin, the kunai would have been pushed forward or pulled towards him. Everyone just stood there wondering what he was doing. Hinata activated her Byakugan and saw what he was doing. He was chakra'd to the object to keep it suspended. What he was doing was manipulating the gravity of the object so he could make something heavy or light in terms of weight. Hinata realized that the thing had to be within a certain distance to him and assumed that he could do this to multiple objects, but he would need more control. It was rather impressive to say the least, and Hinata would tell Naruto after the test. Naruto stopped what he was doing with the kunai and held his hand out to the still awestruck Kakashi. Bansho Tenin. Kakashi was pulled forward and then was stopped by a right hook from Naruto. As Kakashi stood up, he was held at sword point by Naruto via Naruto's katana resting at his neck. Everyone was impressed by the abilities. Okay, well done Naruto, alls you need is experience and some new jutsu. By the way, what did you do to my kunai earlier? Kakashi asked. I can answer that, Hinata started. Naruto-kun can apparently use chakra to make objects heavy or lighter by affecting their gravity, Kakashi-sensei. Hinata explained. This caused everyone to have their jaws drop. Sasuke seethed to hear this but soon realized he would just beat him down when he got his Sharingan to prove whose bloodline is better. Kakashi then got everyone back on track. Okay, today we'll work on ironing out your flaws for another 2 hours and then take a mission. Everyone nodded. Kakashi took Sasuke and Naruto to help them while Hinata and Sakura were left with Anko, and the smile Anko was sending to Sakura was giving her chills down to her very core. Okay, Princess and Pepto-Bismol, I'm ironing out your guys' taijutsu, giving you a genjutsu I know how to do, but first drop and give me 100 jumping jacks, 100 push-ups, and 100 sit-ups now. She told them. They complied with Sakura, realizing one simple thing. This is going to be the most painful moment of my life. Meanwhile, Kakashi created a shadow clone to work with Sasuke since he was to be ironing out his taijutsu. Naruto and him decided to work on his sword practice as Kakashi was an Anbu agent and used to use a sword. They covered ground with that for an hour, proving Naruto was a natural with the sword. They then moved on to improving his Preta Path ability of chakra absorption. Kakashi just spent an hour throwing fireballs at Naruto for him to absorb the chakra from. This was to increase speed, but Kakashi noticed something. He went over to Naruto while he had the path activated and felt his chakra draining. He then deduced if Naruto could lower the height and length of the barrier but increase the number of them by that logic, he could put them around his hands and feet and create a pseudo-jukin where instead of blocking chakra points you steal chakra directly from an opponent. This however would require more chakra control training and at least mid-Chunin level control at the least, so Naruto wasn't there yet. The team stopped training for the day with Sasuke having fixed his taijutsu a little, Hinata having done the same and in the process of learning a genjutsu. Sakura had learned the genjutsu easily but was struggling to learn a taijutsu since Anko's style didn't work well for her, and Naruto heard Kakashi's theory so he would work on his chakra control but would also work more on his sword. Kakashi told him that he had an old friend in Anbu that could teach him the sword and another that could teach Hinata how to use her sei. Team 7 decided to see the Hokage for a mission. The only mission left happened to be a capture a pet mission. Kakashi read the mission details and accepted it, asking for 6 radio communicators, to which the Hokage reminded him they would need code names, to which Anko decided to name each of them except Hinata, whose code name was picked by Naruto. Time skip to forest. Sakura was behind a tree and spoke into her radio. "This is Pink Harpy. Oh, I hate you, Anko-sensei. I see no sign of the target over." Sakura said, "This is Fox Prince. I see the target about 20 meters away over." Naruto said, "This is Raven Princess. I see the target about 23 meters away from me." "It's 10 meters away from you, Emo Lord, over," Hinata said, trying not to giggle. "This is Emo Lord. Damn you, sensei. I am closest to the target. Permission to capture?" Sasuke asked. "Okay, this is Porn King. Damn it, Anko. I give you permission now," Kakashi ordered. Sasuke jumped at the cat from above and grabbed it. The cat then started claw at his face repeatedly to break free, to which it succeeded and ran. It jumped into the air and into Hinata's arms, who happened to be on the way with everyone else. The cat nuzzled into her arms, to which was shocked that the vicious cat liked Hinata for some reason. Oddly enough, it nodded to Naruto, which Hinata thought that maybe because of his animal path power. Hinata took some of the cat's fur to see for later on when the time comes for Naruto's animal path. Sensei, Hinata has the target. Red bow on ear is definitely Tora. This is Snake Queen, well done. Okay, mission successful, let's go see Hokage-sama for our pay, Anko said over the radio. The team gave the cat to a rather large woman in fancy clothing who started hugging, choking with hugs, the cat. Sasuke smirked to see this, but everyone had the same thought. No wonder this cat ran away. They all got their pay and left, glad that they wouldn't have to chase the cat again. Yeah, right. That's all for now. If you enjoyed, then please like, share and do comments.